warm welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Guguletu Cele. Anyone with a credit card is fearful of credit card fraud. It's something many have experienced, but who is responsible for the losses that are incurred as a result of this type of fraud? Candice Sutherland, Business Development Consultant at SHA Specialist Underwriters, is here to answer this and so much more. Good to have you with us today, Candice.
Thank you for your time.
Maybe let's get into the definition of credit card fraud. What is it and what does it entail?
Sure. So credit card fraud can happen in various ways. It could be somebody skimming your card and making purchases on your behalf. It could be somebody intercepting your cell phone and making a SIM swap. So you think that you're making a purchase online on your online banking. Meantime, your one-time password would go to that duplicate phone.
Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily that the item itself gets stolen, but different means and methods that they get intercepted, especially online.
Exactly.
Are there certain transactions, though, that put one more at risk of this type of fraud?
Definitely online transactions do put you more at risk, but this is the reality of life. How can you not transact online? I mean, we live our lives online.
Exactly. So are there preventative measures that we can put in place?
There definitely are. Looking at trusted sites. So if you're going to log onto your banking, always make sure that you actually physically type in the address. Don't go to it in your favorites. Don't search for Google and type in Standard Bank or ABSA and access it through a link. We know that we're not supposed to click on links in emails, but you know, the thing is people still do. So it's always better to type in the full address. And when you're making an online purchase, use a trusted site, that one that has PayPal or some sort of verification.
Are there also methods of following up on these transactions? You mentioned verification. Some people get SMSs or one-time passwords as confirmation of a transaction. So if you see any suspicious activity, what do you do from there? Absolutely.
One thing that we should do, which we don't, is that we should reconcile our bank statements. So every month, go through your bank statements and make sure that the transactions are actually ones that you have done. You know, the reality is this, if 5 Rand had to go missing from your account every single Monday, is that the kind of figure that you would notice? Chances are probably not. So people don't check their bank statements. But if you notice something suspicious is going on, call your bank and report it to the police. South Africa has a less than 3% prosecution rate in terms of cybercrime in the broad definition.
Less than 3%?
Less than 3%, because people don't report it. You know, we get these SMSs saying you've won the UK lotto, and people fall for it all the time. We know that we shouldn't. We know that we shouldn't be gullible, but people do fall for it. And then they feel silly, so they don't report it to the police.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Let's walk through the case where you do discover that there are 5 rands that go missing from your account. Where do I start? You mentioned report it to the police. What's the follow-up from there?
So first thing would actually be to call your bank and say they are unauthorized transactions on my account. I have no idea who this payment is to and why it actually went through. That way you can see, is it actually fraudulent or not? Then you would have to stop your bank card, and we all know that that's quite a schlep, you know, to issue new bank cards, that sort of thing. But report it to the police. If somebody has access to your account because you threw your bank statement in the dustbin and somebody managed to get your details through that, or through a phishing email. So phishing is very simple. If I had to go onto your Facebook, I would be able to see your date of birth, your dog's name, your children's name, your husband's name, your wife's name. I don't even have to be your friend on Facebook to do that. And what do we use as our passwords? Either our own name, husband's name, wife's name, children's name, dog's name, or our date of birth.
Yeah.
So don't have an easy password. Make it something that is unique to you, and don't ever write that down, ever.
Otherwise, if somebody finds it, then people can capitalize on that opportunity.
Exactly.
You mentioned getting in touch with your bank. What happens in a situation or scenario where exorbitant amounts of money have actually been used and taken away from your credit card, and you need to obviously prove to the bank that you haven't used your card irresponsibly?
Yeah.
Do you perhaps need to write to the Ombudsman to consult with them, or get even some kind of legal advice?
Definitely. The banks are trying the best that they can. You know, in terms of POPI, they're trying to get on board. They're trying to educate South Africans that don't click on links. We will not ever send you an email with a link. The unfortunate part is that people still do that. So you go to the bank and you say, 1,000 Rand is missing from my account because it's in 5 Rand transactions, or 10,000 Rand in one fatal swoop, you know. They will do their investigations, but those sort of things take time. And the unfortunate part is then you are out of pocket for what, 2 or 3 months while they're doing their internal investigations to see what it was. If they find that there was negligence on your behalf, that somehow somebody got your PIN or you lost your credit card, that sort of thing, the reality is they're not going to pay you back if there is negligence on your behalf. So that's the unfortunate part. That's why we have to guard our data. We can't just rely on banks and say, it wasn't me, refund me. because they can't do that for every South African. It's just not possible.
And I take it this can have damaging consequences, especially on your credit score.
Absolutely.
Going forward. So this is something that consumers need to be cognizant of?
Absolutely. You can have a bad credit record. So if you misplaced your ID when you were 16 years old, and that was 10 years ago, you could have a bad ITC record. You could have accounts open on your name that you are none the wiser. And if somebody managed to intercept your identity, let's say, and you have a 12,000 Rand Telkom account, a 10,000 Rand Ilarine's account, if they have your physical documentation, how do you dispute that and say, well, it wasn't me? That's the problem.
Is there a best solution then? You've discovered that there's credit card fraud, you're liaising with the bank and investigations are taking place. I take it then that one needs to be very cautious before going out and maybe opening up some other kind of credit account, whether it be a store account or clothing account?
Definitely. So what you should first and foremost is institute credit monitoring. So credit monitoring is this: any transaction on your account, the bank will actually call you and say, are you trying to spend 12 Rand 50 at the engine garage? Are you trying to open up an Edgar's account? And you would either say yes or no, and then the transaction would be allowed or not. But before you go and open up a new account, try and find the source of what has actually happened. Is it identity theft? Because then it's so much bigger than just actually your bank account. But there are numerous ways we can safeguard ourselves. So don't ever log onto your online banking on a free network, on a free Wi-Fi network. Don't ever access your bank account through a free, if you go to an IT shop, for example, or a hotel, don't ever do your online banking there. Make sure it's a secure connection. And obviously the things like don't click on links, type in the full address, make sure it's an HTTPS site, make sure that it's a verified site, all of those sort of things. We can do the best that we can, and that allows recourse. When you go to the bank and say, I did these 5 things, which is in accordance with what your minimum regulations are, help me out.
And I take it there are costs involved as well when you go the legal route and seek some kind of additional advice. Are there, is there a worst case scenario that you can walk us through that maybe you've dealt with some of your clients?
Well, a particular situation that happened to me is I was saving for a massive trip to go to America. My sister was on secondment there, and I'd been saving for 2 years. So I had a substantial amount in my account. I called my bank and I said, I'm going to America from this date to this date. Arrived in New York, 4 o'clock in the morning, went to Starbucks feeling amazing that I'm going to have my first Starbucks, and my account was empty. Empty.
Ways.
So it was Friday, 2:45 in South Africa. I called the bank. They luckily did refund me, but it was 4 months after the trip. It was actually somebody inside the bank, because you have to call the bank to say, can you open my account to use, in this country from this date to this date? So it was someone in the bank that actually then, internal collusion, had tipped off somebody, emptied my account. Every time I went to Starbucks, I had to ask my sister for $2 to buy a coffee, and it was a 1-month trip. So that's my own personal experience of something that happened to me, and it ruined the trip, to be honest. Yes, I got refunded, but it was 4 months after I got back. What does that help?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I take it then it also creates awareness for you as an individual, as you say, to have some kind of recourse to take this message back to the bank.
And it's such an innocent situation. I didn't give my details to any person. It was somebody inside the bank. So that's why they refunded, because they could see it was internal collusion. I didn't have to go to lawyers and through their own internal investigations. They refunded me, but the reality was I was stuck in America with no money at all.
Well, we're happy that situation ended up well.
Yes.
But for those of you at home who want to find out how to find some recourse if your credit card fraud situation doesn't end up too well, let's take a quick recap on this discussion. Candice, to wrap everything up in a summary of tonight's discussion, your takeaway points on credit card fraud.
Sure. Do not access your bank account through any other device except your own. So do not access it through a hotel or a conference center. Do not use free Wi-Fi to get onto your bank account. Make sure that you always physically type in your bank's actual website address, and make sure it's an HTTPS account. If you are making purchases online, make sure there's a trusted site like PayPal, or you have some sort of verification. If you go onto your bank and you request a one-time password and nothing happens, don't refresh the page or send another one. Immediately log out. And that's the important thing as well. Log out after every session. We just close our pages.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what could go on in there. Also, don't give out your personal information. If you suspect some sort of fraud, call your bank immediately. Stop those cards and then try and do damage control after that.
Exactly. So preventative measures need to be put in place, and we all need to be quite cautious. Candice, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
That's where we leave it for Personal Finance tonight. A big thank you once more to Candice Sutherland, Business Development Consultant at SHA Specialist Underwriters. Remember that we want to hear from you, so tweet any of your comments or suggestions to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Finance410 or to myself on Twitter @Kukumfupi. Until tomorrow evening, it's goodbye for now.